Hello, I am aware that it's April, a bit late to be making a best movies of 2022 video, but am I ashamed? Not really. It just was such a strong year for film. I really feel like we haven't gotten like a lineup this good in a couple of years. To begin with, I'm gonna do my special mentions, which are movies that were by all means amazing, but just didn't make it into my personal top 10 movies of the year. My special mentions are All Quiet on the Western Front, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, the 1975 Live from Madison Square Garden, The Northman, and The Fools Who Dream. If you know, you know. Alright, and to kick off the list, in number 10 we got Bardo. Now this one's not perfect, but it's beautiful. Alejandro González Iñárritu, the director of Birdman and The Revenant, is back with probably his most personal movie. This one deals with being a Mexican immigrant in the US and how your relationship with both countries starts evolving and devolving at the same time. Just like Birdman, it has a lot of magical realism, and it's so fun. It's one of my favorite qualities of Alejandro as a director. And the cinematography, although it's not Chivo, it's not Emmanuel Lubezki this time, it's still drop dead gorgeous. It's definitely in this list for a lot of subjective reasons for me. So watch it if all of this sounds interesting to you. Number 9, Barbarian. Probably the most original horror movie I've ever watched. Going into this one knowing as little as possible is absolutely the way to go. So this is what I'll say regarding the plot. A man and a woman get booked for an Airbnb for the same night, and once they realize this, they decide to spend the night, both of them. Toast wants to help, so here she is. Once they realize this, they decide to both spend the night, and then shit goes wrong. That's all I'll say. This is one of those movies that I guarantee you will not be able to predict what's gonna happen, which makes it incredibly fun. So yeah, if you like inventive genre films, specifically horror for this one, watch this shit. It's so good. In number 8, we've got Triangle of Sadness. In a year in which Eat the Rich was a prevalent theme in media, The White Lotus and Triangle of Sadness take the crown for me. This one's definitely hard to describe. Think about a modern adaptation of Lord of the Flies, but the main theme being class disparity. So what happens when the rich and the poor get stranded on an island? Who actually has the skills to survive? And because of that, you know, like the power shift and blah blah, etc. It's so fun. Like, that sounds kind of pretentious, but it's actually a really fun movie. For number 7, we got the Banshees of Inisherin. How the fuck do you pronounce that? Let me check.
The Banshees of Inisherin.
Inisherin. In number 7, we've got The Banshees of Inisherin. Do not be fooled by the ominous poster and aesthetic, because this movie is fucking hilarious. This one's set in beautiful coastal Ireland, and basically one guy wakes up one day and decides he doesn't want to be best friends anymore with his main lad. Seemingly so because he doesn't want to participate anymore in mundane activities. He wants to leave a legacy. He wants to produce art that's meaningful. Colin Farrell is so fucking good in this. He creates such an endearing and hilarious character. Apparently this whole movie is supposed to be like a metaphor for the nihilism and hopelessness of the Irish Civil War, but I'm not from Ireland. I didn't know shit about that, and I still fucking loved it. So you'll find something for you in this movie. All that matters is that it's so fucking brilliantly written. The script is, in my opinion, one of the stars, if not the main star. It's hilarious, it's emotional, like it'll make you feel things, you know? And have a laugh as well. Whether you're like writing a dissertation about it or you just love fucking good movies. Comedy ones at that. This is a heavily funny movie. You'll have a blast. So yeah, not from Ireland. Number 6 is Bones and All. Two cannibalistic lovers go on a road trip of sorts through the US and try to escape who they are, escape their reality, and at the same time help each other be the best version of themselves. Luca Guadagnino, who you probably know best for Call Me By Your Name, absolutely did it again. His beautifully immersive and naturalistic filmmaking is there, but now we also get gnarly with cannibalism in the mix. So the beautiful cinematography gets balanced with the hunger for flesh. It reminded me of the great adventure movies of the 70s that always have like dark undertones like Deliverance and Easy Rider. And seeing Timothée Chalamet in another great role made me really happy. In the current landscape where there's less and less movie stars, I feel like he's the one to carry the baton for our generation. Number 5, The Batman. I stand for everything in this movie. Batman shot on anamorphic vintage lenses, emo ass Batman. I mean, yes, bitch, let's fucking go. What else do we need as a society? Easily the superhero movie with most personality that we've gotten in a long ass time. And, in my opinion, the best Batmobile chase ever. Colin Farrell, again, a gift of a human. He's amazing. Amazing as the Penguin. Again, so fucking funny. Legend. Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz obviously killed it as well. I mean, I would watch 4 more Batman movies in this universe, as long as it's the same team behind it. It just got tier. In number 4, we've got kind of a controversial one, Babylon. The director of La La Land and Whiplash is back. I had missed Damien Chazelle's musicality and humor so much. La La Land is one of my favorite movies ever made. This movie is an acting powerhouse, and it tells the story of 3 of my favorite archetypes in stories. Number 1, the ambitious underdog. Number 2, a fading star. And number 3, a talented but fucking psycho artist. This movie is set in one of my favorite periods of film history, which is when silent films started transitioning to talkies, with Singing in the Rain and Sunset Boulevard being the best of the ones that are set in this period, in my opinion. In a way, Babylon is like Singing in the Rain's mentally ill sibling. Babylon is a very rich movie with too many plot details for me to even try to summarize them. But it's essentially Damien Chazelle tackling the reality of Hollywood. Yes, it's a magical place where dreams can come true, but it's also a brutal industry that you can give it your everything and it'll spit you out with nothing. I love this movie, and it bummed me out to see it not do so well. I understand why to a degree. I personally didn't mind the pace, and I've watched it 2 times, but that being said, that 3-hour mark is hard to ignore. It was beautifully shot. I still do not comprehend how it didn't get an Oscar nomination for Best Cinematography. But anyways, I could go on about this one forever, so let's just go to the next one. Number 3, Aftersun. God, this movie. It is beautiful and devastating, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I saw it. It's definitely one of those that the more you let marinate in your brain juices, the more it affects you. This is the story of Sophie, a woman who is looking back on her dad through a series of videotapes and memories to try and find answers about who her dad really was versus who she thought he was when she was growing up. I really don't want to reveal any more details because this is another one that the less you know the better, but God, is this movie special. Paul Mescal is becoming one of my favorite actors, and I'm so excited to see what he does next. Number 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Okay, I hear the commotion. Let me explain. The decision for number 1 was incredibly hard. I would have put them in a tie, but I feel like that would be cheating. Everything Everywhere is a beautiful, overwhelming ride. It's as good as everyone says it is, and it absolutely deserved to win Best Picture. The movie at its core is about all the versions of yourself you could have been if you decided to do this or that, and the amount of pressure that can have on you. Or the complete opposite, absolutely not caring once you realize nothing really matters. And the movie explores what can happen to people when they go in each of these directions. Another reason I really champion this movie is because the Daniels started as music video directors and transitioned into features. And also Swiss Army Man is one of my favorite movies, which they also directed. If you've ever heard of the movie in which Daniel Radcliffe plays a farting corpse, that's the one, and that's the Daniels. So yeah, as a music filmmaker myself, I hold them as personal heroes, and this is just so incredibly inspiring. And in number 1, we got The Fablemans. Steven Spielberg made an autobiographical coming of age. The master did it again, obviously. This movie follows Sam, a fictionalized Spielberg, from childhood to college, so we see one of the greatest living filmmakers fall in love with cinema as a kid. This movie is incredibly special. What sets this one apart from the rest of Spielberg's work is that when he deals with his childhood in movies, he usually layers it with science fiction or fantasy. But this is the first time he takes us through his upbringing for what it was. We see a family breaking, the bullying and anti-Semitism Spielberg suffered as a young boy, and even the fact that he has anxiety, that he gets panic attacks. But it's still a Spielberg movie, so it's not a bummer. It's a fun-ass ride. The funnest part for me being when an incredibly religious, Jesus-loving simp falls in love with young Steven Spielberg. One of the funniest bits in movies I've watched in a while. Anyways, there's obviously a lot of reasons why I love this movie. It checked a lot of my personal boxes. It's a love letter to cinema, coming of age is one of my favorite genres, and it follows a boy who experiences the US as a minority. All of these are things that hit incredibly close to heart, and it just moved me more than any other movie of 2022. That is why it is number one for me. I'm just grateful for this film, man. I'm just grateful it exists. And that's it. God damn, this was a good year. Last time I feel like we had something like this year was back in 2017 when we had Lady Bird, Call Me By Your Name, The Shape of Water, Get Out, etc. So yeah, once again, this is a very subjective list, so please let me know in the comments which one are your favorites. I am genuinely interested. I want to start building a film community in this channel. Obviously I can't do this as often because making music videos is still my priority, is my job. But I forgot how much I loved writing and talking about shit that I love, you know? Thank you for being here and being a part of this channel. I genuinely appreciate it. Alright, that's it. See you in the next one.